In this video, we're going to be talking about various changes that we can make to our presentation. You can see we have the same presentation that we had in the previous video about Aurora College. I'm going to go down now and select slide 5. So I'm clicked on slide 5. And what I want to do is I want to add another slide beneath this one. So when you insert a new slide, it actually inserts it below the slide you're currently on. So I'm going to go up to the Home tab, and you see here the New Slide button. If you click on the top half of the New Slide button, it's going to create another new slide using the same layout as the one that we're on right now. So watch, when I click on the top half of it, you see that I now have 2 slides, right? It just inserted this slide 6 below slide 5, and it used the same layout that slide 5 had. So it's not actually the layout that I want. So I'm going to click on this slide and I'm going to hit the delete key. So I'm on slide 6, the thumbnail for it, and I'm going to hit the delete key, and that removed it. So now I'm back at slide 5, and what I want to do is I want to insert a new slide, but I want it to have a section header layout. So instead, this time, instead of clicking the top half of the new slide button, I'm going to click the bottom half of the new slide button, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pick section header, and that will create the layout with a section header. So you see, all it means by layout is they have these placeholders. So this particular layout has just 2 placeholders to it, and you can actually click on the placeholder. So for example, I'm going to click on this bottom placeholder here. I decide I don't want this placeholder. So while I'm clicked on it, I got a solid line around it. I'm going to hit the delete key, and that's going to remove it. Okay, and then I'm going to click in this placeholder because it says click to add title, and I'm going to just type in a title, and you can see I'm not actually I don't have my all caps on. It's just the format for this particular sorry, it's hard for me to type and talk at the same time, apparently. Let's see here, 10 minutes. Okay. So the format for this is just all caps. So I want to actually change the font size of this. You can see up here it's a font size of 72. Now, some of you may be tempted to highlight the text like this to format it. That is not what you want to do in PowerPoint. Instead, what you want to do is you want to click on the placeholder that text is in. So you notice right now I'm clicked in the placeholder. Okay, I have dashed lines around it. I want to click on the outside edge of the placeholder. And what that's going to do is give me a solid line so that the whole placeholder is selected. And I'm going to change the font size here from 72 down to 54. Okay, and you can see now it fits in the box. Now, there's a big difference between highlighting the text and clicking on the outside of the placeholder. You want to make sure, especially for grader, that you click on the outside of the placeholder. Otherwise, you're not going to get the points that you need. So that's going to make watching this video worth it right there for you. So just click on the outside edge of it. And if you think of it, it's actually a little easier than trying to highlight the whole thing. The other difference there is that now if I add any text to this box, it will be a size of 54. Versus if I had just highlighted that text and then added it afterwards, anything I added afterwards would have been not have been that font size. All right, and so down in the notes pane, just like we learned earlier, after this, a short break, great. Okay, you have the ability to use the spell checker, and so I'm going to go up to the review tab and go to spelling. And you can see here that it's funny that it doesn't like PowerPoint, right? So I'm just going to double click PowerPoint, and it's still going to think that it's going to like make it correct, but I think it's ironic that it doesn't find PowerPoint. But anyway, and you saw how it had a red underline in it. That was just like back in Word, whenever it didn't like the spelling of something, it would put a red squiggly line underneath it. All right, and the other thing, just like we learned in Word, is that we do have the ability to use the thesaurus here. So you can see here we have this sentence can add elements to add interest. And we don't like using the word add twice. So I'm going to click in the word add here. And I can either right click on it and go to synonyms here and pick enhance. Okay. Or if you recall, you could have used the thesaurus and that would have pulled up the pane on the right hand side and you could have done it that way as well. Okay. I'm going to go down to slide 4. Each slide has a layout associated with it when it was created. So if you click on slide 4, you'll see when you click on the layout button, it shows which layout each one has. So this was the 2 content layout. Clearly it was modified because it doesn't look like a 2 content layout. This one does look like a 2 content layout, right? So if I go here, layout, you can see it's 2 content layout. So I'm going to come back to this one and say, you know, since I didn't use the to content layout, it really looks more like a title and content layout. I'm going to change it. So by clicking on the down arrow of layout, I can simply change the layout to title and content. Okay. And this is usually, I mean, here you don't really see any difference because it was already sort of made to look like a title and content layout, but in other slides you would see a pretty big difference. So what's nice is if you created a new slide with a particular layout, it's nice to know that you could change that layout. So you create the new slide, you pick the layout, you decide you don't like it, you can just go up to layout and change it. All right, I'm going to go down here to slide 7, and I'm going to select on this placeholder, just like we did when we were doing the font. I'm going to choose center. So again, I didn't highlight the text. I clicked on the outside edge of it so I get a solid line all the way around it, and I picked center. Now, when you look at all these formatting options, I'm not going to review all of these again because you already know them all, right? Most of these you already know. You know your font color and your highlighting and italic and underline, and you see left, center, right, and justify. You see bullets and numbering. So hopefully you've learned all of these, and so I'm not going to reteach them to you here other than me just quickly going over them like that. Okay, one other thing that you want to be able to do is oftentimes you want to be able to change the sort order of your slides, the sort order. So if you go over to the View tab, this view that we're in right now is what we call Normal View. We're going to flip it to Slide Sorter View, and when you do this, you'll see that you get just, you know, little thumbnails of your slides, and you can actually choose to zoom in or zoom out. So if you wanted to see more slides on a screen at a time, you could take the percentage down, or if you want to see less, you could zoom in. And so what we want to do here is we want to actually select slide 2 and move it to become slide 3. So I'm going to click on slide 2, and I'm going to move it to slide 3. Okay, so now slide 2, what was slide 2 is now slide 3. You want to be careful of this when they have you move 2 slides at once. You want to consider maybe moving both at one time, because when you reorder things, the next slide might not be the correct slide. So just kind of be mindful of that. So I could move 2 slides at once by holding down the control key, and then I could select like slides 3 and 4 and move them at one time. Okay. So I'm still in Slide Sorter View. I could go back to Normal View by clicking Normal here, but the other option I have is I can just double click whatever slide I want to go to. So for example, I could click slide 3, and now I'm brought to slide 3. Okay. It's also important to note that you can change the order of slides right here. So you could simply take a slide here and drag and drop it up like this, and now it would be slide 2. So I basically moved it back where it was, or move it back to here and make it slide 3. So I think that's all I need to do for this video. So hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about PowerPoint, and we'll come back in the next video and talk a little about a few more things you can do to enhance your PowerPoint.